Hi, everyone. Thanks for logging on. We're going to give a second for everybody to log themselves in, and then we'll get ourselves started. All righty. Tissy, you think we're good to go? All right, here we go. So, hi, everyone. I'm Karen Casca, and I work at the Adler Aphasia Center. On behalf of Aphasia Access and the Resource Exchange Working Group, we are all really excited for today's virtual Bragg and Steel session. Really, it's a great kickoff for Aphasia Awareness Month, as we have a fantastic group of presenters with aphasia here with us today. Our presenters are going to be sharing firsthand experiences, innovative activities, and a variety of different community and advocacy efforts. Couple of things before we get started. Just remember to mute yourself unless you're up here on screen chatting. We want to give a huge thank you to Cognitive Concierge for their generous support in sponsoring these Bragg and Steel sessions. If you haven't checked out their website, please do so. Great resources there. So with further ado, I am now going to turn this over to Esther, who's going to be our moderator for the rest of today's event. So enjoy, everyone.
And I'm on mute. Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Esther Kim, and I'm an associate professor at the University of Alberta in Edmonton, Canada. And I'm so pleased to be able to have these conversations with our friends with aphasia and hearing from some of the people that support them. So we're going to kick it off with a wonderful group from the Aphasia Institute. So we have Leanne Kant, Robin Drayman, and Heather Cornea and Sharon Griffiths.
Robin, we can't hear you.
Doesn't look like you're muted, but
No,
you can't.
you were working.
Yeah. We're not hearing anything.
No. Okay. Do you want me to take it? Hello. Hello, everybody. My name's Leanne. And I'm here with my colleague Robin and our members from the Aphasia Institute, Heather and Sharon. And so we'd like to just welcome you to our presentation, which is People with Aphasia, our members, teaching us what it means to support them in life's conversation. Okay, you can move it ahead. And we're keeping our portion really short because we really want to hear from our members. And so we'd just like to say that our brag today is that we have the most amazing training team of members at the Aphasia Institute who provide amazing real life practice for the training that we do in supported conversation for adults with aphasia. And we do that for healthcare professionals of all stripes, a lot of speech therapists, but also OTs and PTs and nurses. And also our volunteers at our center are trained in this way. And this real life practice makes all the difference in learning how to support conversation for people with aphasia. And our steal is that we would hope that you would think about making your trainings, if you're doing this kind of training, better by including people with aphasia in real life experience. And so we've got a video of Heather and Sharon and Robin and I in conversation. And Heather and Sharon really share what it means to train people to have better conversation and better access, communicative access for people with aphasia. So we can go to the video.
Why do you like to help in training?
I like to help because it helps the trainer feel that they are training us. It helps them know in our training what we do. They're learning. They're learning to do it.
Okay. So just the fact that you're training them and they're learning.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And you, the person with aphasia,
Yes.
you feel a certain responsibility or to
I feel a responsibility in that I am training. I am helping them understand it.
Sharon, anything to add? Again, why do you help in training?
I do it because of patience. I do it because of how I feel at the moment. I feel good.
Right. And when you talk about patience,
Mm-hmm.
Who has the patience? What do you mean by that?
Have the patience to connect to the other trainee.
Okay, so is it that you have the patience to connect with the person you're training?
Yes.
How do you connect, or how do they connect with you?
I connect with them through my thought. I'm thinking of my thoughts. I'm thinking what I'm wanting to see them hear. What they. It's a whole big thing.
Because you have a lot in here, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
And then you want to share it?
Yes. Yes.
What helps you? So whether it's in the connection, what helps you connect, or what helps you in communicating?
I think it helps me connect to hear them say, this is what you're saying is, and repeating what I've said.
Mhm.
So that helps.
What does that show when they are
They're
repeating?
listening to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you can tell they're listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do they do that helps you?
It just, if they repeat what I said, if
Okay.
they repeat what I said, then I understand that they understand it. Yeah.
Sharon?
They get to a point where they're having interaction with the fun part of things. Yeah, that's the important part.
If there happens to be a conversational breakdown, or something goes wrong, or it's not successful, how do you feel, and what do you do, or what do they do?
Doing nothing because they having to say to you that they don't understand.
So them telling you, I don't understand,
Mm-hmm.
and that's important.
That's important. Don't understand because they sometimes are closed off to your feelings.
Okay. Okay.
I say that exactly.
Okay. So let me, and I don't want to put any words in your mouth. Am I understanding that sometimes they don't feel the emotion that you want to give?
Yes.
Yes.
Maybe they got someone up their mind that's maybe making some joke about it. So they don't think it's that big a deal.
So it's maybe not a big deal to them, but to
Yeah.
you?
Yes, it's a big deal.
So is there a good way to handle?
There's a good way to handle it. That's make me understand better.
Is to work at it, work
Yeah.
at it with you,
Yeah.
and not just drop it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you're meeting these people for the first time, right? And they're
Yeah.
meeting you
Yes.
for the first time.
So this is something you come into calmly or with some confidence or
Yes.
just to have a
Yeah.
good
Well, we
time.
know
I
all
don't know.
about it, don't we?
You do know all about it. Okay.
We're living in it.
And so do you feel like you know your aphasia well?
I feel I know it well.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you want them to know the aphasia?
Yes, I want them to know.
Okay. Is there anything that you learn from them?
All
Are
right.
you learning something?
Absolutely.
We are always learning something.
Every time we talk to you, we learn something.
Heather.
Would you recommend that other people with aphasia participate in training?
Yes. They learn to be patient.
I'm really hearing the theme of patience
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
in conversation.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say that it's important to connect with these people and bring other people around.
Okay.
Yeah.
And bring people into knowing
Yes. Knowing people with aphasia.
with aphasia, what it means.
Yes. Yep.
Conversation is learning to be back and forth.
I remember those words, it's possible. And what did you mean by that?
It's possible that you're conversing with the patients.
Yeah. And only you can show them that, right?
Yes.
Any last words?
Yes. Keep connecting.
Keep connecting. Okay, thank you. And we've just got one final slide there before I turn it back over to Heather and Sharon. Just keeping in mind, these are the themes that we've heard from people with lived experience, where we do our training online now, and Heather and Sharon are a huge part of our team. Both people learn patience in conversation. Connection matters, and conversation teaches us that. It's fun. Let's interact and have some fun and learn from each other that way. And that they know their strategies, they know what works, and they can teach you that. So that's why we learn together. Keep trying, learn some confidence, trust them that they know their aphasia and they know what they want to teach you. And it's possible, right, Sharon? It's possible. So I turn it over to them for any questions that you have. And thank you for having us. And Heather and Sharon, did you want to say anything right now after that video?
Just thank you.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much to Heather and Sharon and Leanne and Robin for sharing these ideas with us. We have time for just a couple of questions, and maybe I will get started with a question for Heather and Sharon. Do you do anything to prepare for these sessions? Or how do you prepare? Or do you just sort of show up?
No, show up.
I just show up.
Okay, great. And do you have any, I guess, words of wisdom for other people with aphasia who might want to get involved in these kinds of trainings?
They have to
Just
use their
be
own judgment. Yeah.
Use their own judgment. And Sharon?
just be yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's so important, right? We're all just people having
Mm-hmm.
conversations at the end.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about people you have trained or worked with? And are there any kind of categories of people who are maybe better than others, or how you've, well, all kinds of people, healthcare professionals, students?
Healthcare professionals um seems to be better than some.
Uh-huh. But I'm sure that it's good practice for them to, you're giving everybody a valuable opportunity to develop these
Yes.
skills. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Heather,
Yeah,
did
I
you
would
have
say,
anything?
I was
Sorry,
going
go
to
ahead.
say, Heather and Sharon, so just for the group to know, you know, like I said, we have those health professionals, but you do train with our students
With
Yeah.
the students.
and you train with our volunteers who are lay people to this.
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Hi, Sharon and Heather. I'm Zoe from the Adler Aphasia Center in New Jersey. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if by doing these trainings, do you feel that you have more confidence advocating for your communication needs with friends and family?
I think it does help.
It does. It does help.
Awesome.
And maybe I'll just finish with one last question before we move on. For Heather and Sharon, has anyone ever surprised you during a training? Anybody that you've met that really sticks out?
No.
I think everybody is surprising to me with what they have to offer.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And thank you to the team at the Aphasia Institute for that wonderful brag and steel session. So we're gonna...
Abby's giving us a wave. So hi, Abby. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. Well, speaking of Avi, he is up next, and he is going to be talking to us about aphasia and disability sports. Hi, Avi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great.
Good. I have a, yes, okay. Thank you very much, Zoe. You're the best.
I got you.
So one slide up, down, or the other. Yeah. So I have aphasia. Tomorrow is a stroke anniversary. So it's 5, 10, 15, 16, 17 years tomorrow. So awesome. But before I was a critical care and flight paramedic in New York City. Yeah, exactly. And then I went to surgery, and so I I have a mitral valve prolapse is a relatively minor-ish prolapse, but unfortunately I went to surgery, and in the surgery I have a stroke resulting in aphasia. So for 1 year, all I could say was Michael, and I have no idea even today who is Michael. I mean, maybe my cousin, maybe my roommate, but why Michael? I have no idea. And then Hemi Priestess. So after the stroke, I have no arm. My arm. Thank you. My arm and my leg is weak. Bef After the stroke, 3 months I was in the bed because my arm and my leg was weak. So OT and PT and speech pathology work with me every day until I am, again, for me, not everybody else, for me, I am walking. So it's really good. Next slide. So again, as a stroke, so I have difficulty with names like letters, uh, um, names, spelling, reading, writing is very hard, but help me. So for me, hearing the first sounds or commanded cues, Nuance Dragon. Do you know Nuance Dragon is software text to talk? So basically, after the stroke, again, everybody is different, but for me, about 3 years later, I have Nuance Dragon. So I speak and Nuance Dragon listens and writes. So it's kind of good for me. So it's, yeah. And then talking to me. So it's really very, very good. Next slide. Or not. That's fine. Whatever.
Sorry, I don't know what's happening. There we go.
Okay. Uh, and so after the stroke, so number one, I am working with a speech pathology every day to getting better and better and better for me. Number two, I speak with EMS or police or hospitals with a speech pathology together talking about aphasia. So it's really cool. And number three, for me, I love to do a lot of disability sport like skydive. Well, I can show you here. So like, for example, I have mo motor parachute gliding. So is me very scared and a pilot gliding. So it's really cool. Next slide. Skydiving. So a lot of people, not just me, but a lot of people with disability have a good time in outside the plane or inside the plane, inside the Facebook, inside, yeah, inside outside or inside and outside. One or the other is really cool. Next slide. Uh, Snowboarding. So it's a lot of disability and have a good time together or separate. So yeah, it's really cool. Next slide, please. Uh, about 1 year ago, I went to dog sledding in Glacier in helicopter. So I went to Glacier helicopter to go to Alaska to see and pet and the dog, and I went to the dog and dog sledding together. So it was really very, very cool. And it's very hot, by the way. I don't know why in Alaska. Next slide. Scuba. So I went to scuba with, again, disability people. So is scuba in the pool in Bonaire. Next slide. And then I went to, well, I was going to go to, I swear, Swimming with Pigs Caribbean. Look it up. I swear, I swear. But unfortunately, I went to uh, go to the dog sled, pig, dogs, pigs beach. Unfortunately, the weather is poor, so they cancel. So I'm so mad, and I want to go back because it's like swimming with pigs. What? Whatever. Next slide. And yeah, so please email or call me or Skype me or Facebook me and whatever, and we'll talk. So yeah.
Amazing, Avi. Thank you so much. Um, Maybe if we can stop sharing the screen so we can see Avi big again.
There we go.
Wow. So how did you get started with this?
So basically, after the stroke, about 3 years, I was working with OT and PT and speech pathology, but then I was in the hospital and experiment, and I saw the flyer for disability uh uh flyer, not flyers, airplane, like not airplane, so Michael,
Like parachuting from the airplane or
yeah, something like that.
something like that?
So yeah,
Skydiving?
Close.
Okay.
So I say, what is that? Is disability? What is going on? So I went to the website and I called them and I say, is okay. And all I can say was is 3 years. So I say, is very small words. So I say, hey, hi, is okay. Ice cream, go. And the guy said, yeah, please go. Let's go together. So I go and then I really is like, whoa, that's so cool. And I'm flying and whatever. So then I spoke with Adler Aphasia Center and I said, look, please, you want to come together? And two of them who has disability, aphasia, says, come. So they came and and then I and then so is number one teaching and number two for me disability sport. So a lot of people, a lot of par is PowerPoint is a lot of lists and I spoke and I am speaking with
So when you say teaching, you did some teaching to the people that are running these activities.
sorry, it's two
Or
things. Number
two
one,
things.
I'm teaching with a
Uh-huh.
speech pathology
Okay.
together talking about aphasia, and number
Uh-huh.
two, disability sports.
Oh,
And not like
excellent.
skydiving and scuba diving. That's stupid. Like really cool, exciting, fun, stuff like that.
Oh my
Like,
goodness, your pictures are amazing and so many adventures. We have a couple of questions coming up. So Jessica has a question.
Hi,
okay.
Avi. I have a question. So I know a lot of our patients would be interested in getting into these activities that you do. Did you seek out activities that were already designed for individuals who have, special motoric needs, or did you ever contact a company or a vendor and say, hey, like, how can we make this work?
Actually is two. So I live in New York City, so I go to Adler Face Center and stuff like that. But I go and and I have 3 hours or less is a lot of sports. So I drive and I like Leap of Faith or Helen's Hospital or Brick Rehab have a lot of disability sport and a lot of people who had disability, not just aphasia, went are going have a good time as well. So is really cool. And then I also went to the website and I called or email a lot, and a lot of people says, yeah, please come or email or come see the website and stuff like that. So I go with either drive or fly, or I Zoom and I speak or I listen for disability and I have a good time and I post with Facebook. And a lot of people go to know where is disability. People who had disability, who had aphasia said, ooh, that's really cool. I want to do it one time. And they did it and they said, ooh, that's so cool. Sorry, do you understand?
Yeah, that sounds so interesting because I feel like it could be intimidating for other people to reach out to the companies and like put themselves out there for fear of being rejected. But it's nice
Yeah.
that you're sort of like paving the way for other people to enjoy these things that you're interested in. So thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I am sharing the Facebook or LinkedIn and a lot of people do it, but also I teach as well. So you whatever you want, you can email or call me or Facebook or LinkedIn and we'll talk because I can do it with you about my story or disability sport or both.
Incredible. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
And maybe just one last question for Avi. Are these activities you would have done before your stroke, or did the stroke really kind of change you and open up your willingness to try jumping out of a plane and things like that?
Actually, no. I before the stroke, I was a paramedic, and then I loved to do a lot of not football, baseball, but like skydiving, scuba diving. So then I went to the website. After the stroke, I went to the hospital and I saw the flyer, and I said, "Oh my God, really? Is disability skydiving, whatever? Oh, that's awesome!" So I did it, and I say that's really cool. So now I'm broadcast as well.
Amazing. Yeah, what an ambassador you are. And I do hope you get to swim with those pigs very soon.
Can I chime in one thing really quick?
Of course.
I just want to say that behind the scenes, Avi has done so many different adventures and sports. And knowing this was a quick presentation, this is only a handful of what he's done. So it's really amazing how many things you've done, Avi.
And yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Lily. Thank you, Avi. I'm
Take
sure
care.
you'll have lots of people who are contacting you to get more information. So thanks for that. All right. Next up, we have Ken Burnson and Jesse Aaron, and they are going to be speaking about a podcast created by two guys with brain injuries. And they are supported by their SLPs, Melissa and Kara.
Okay, so should I start? Yeah, right. So me and Ken, we are friends and we joke around a lot. And one day when we were in group with Melissa, me and Ken are climbing around like usual. Now Melissa happened to mention, you know what? You guys should have your own podcast. And that's how this podcast came to.
And hopefully we'll keep it going. The College of St. Rose, where this started, has gone under. So we're gonna see where it goes from here. But we've got about, how many, 12 episodes under our belt right now?
Yep.
So a little bit about myself. I had a stroke when I was 42. I'm now 57. I live on my own, have my own house. I work as a peer advocate for the Center for Independence. That is in Colony. I have right-sided hemiparesis and aphasia. And with the aphasia, I just want to say some days it's not a problem, other days it really can't talk at all. And we started the podcast not just for ourselves, but for people in the same circumstance to get out and I'm not worried about how you look, just to get out and talk and be good with other people.
I'm Jesse. I have a toxic brain injury at age 23. I'm 39 now. I live alone upstairs in a two-bedroom, in duplex with my brother underneath. I suffer from memory. I have anemia, obviously aphasia, and also some physical impairments. We started the podcast because of our humor and our banter between us. And for me, the podcast gives me purpose. And it can benefit others who have aphasia or dealing with it. And the good thing about a podcast that I think that it can help someone who's dealing with it now or 5 years from now, they can also check out podcasts, and I think that's very beneficial.
And they don't have to see our face.
And they don't have to see our face. This one in particular.
Ken, did you want to answer this question and tell us, how do you guys pick the topics that you talk about on the podcast?
Well, the first topic we decided was just going to be us talking about ourselves. What we used to do in the past, like myself, I was a big fisherman, or I have the right side of the leg, I had to sell the boat and all that, but I do get out every night. We go on a trip to Wisconsin next week, by the way. And we pick the topic depending on the people that want to come in and do them, whether it's people from St. Rose that have had strokes or anything else, as well as people that advocates for who was one you had on. Wendy.
Wendy is my service coordinator. Wendy was on, and she spoke about her job and how she helps with our getting transportation to certain places and find activities that we can do.
And depending on where everybody lives, I'm sure everybody's had a problem with transportation. If you can't drive yourself, which I won't be able to do anymore, do the right side of the cleanse. And that again would be one of my challenges. But you just learn to deal with it. Hopefully everybody else will eventually. When you first get into having this stroke, you're just angry all the time. But after a while, you just have to say, after, which is the name of the podcast, and just get out of your comfort zone and do it.
Jesse or Ken, could you guys kind of tell us about a couple of maybe one or two of our season 1 topics? Jesse, you want to start that?
Sure. Well, like Ken said, our first episode was on our issues, which is aphasia for Ken and me, and Diana, which is a big issue for me as well. We also had a topic where we invite some other people without brain injuries who were at the St. Louis College and participated in like book clubs or
like disability lawyer came on, quite a bit.
Disability lawyer, right? And also after like jobs after a brain injury. Like me and Ken both had jobs after a brain injury. I worked at a nursing home for a while, and I loved it. I really loved it. I was good with everyone, and the reason I stopped was actually because of COVID, because of my lungs. I'm missing about 30% of my lungs, so it's also a good idea for me to not do that anymore.
The main thing is to have a purpose, no matter what that is.
Yeah,
it's for me, anyways.
Yeah, that's actually why this podcast, what gave me purpose was this podcast, and I think Melissa can attest to this as well. Where as far as the podcast comes, as our time every day, which is a pretty big issue for me, and I was very organized with it.
Yeah, we have learned a lot about how the podcast was effective. I want each of you to tell everyone just kind of what you learned from the podcast. Maybe Ken, you could start out and talk about what kind of supports worked for you.
Support for me, which is maybe different from a lot of other people. I cannot plan anything. Scripts do not work for me. When I try to speak from my mind, it'll work, but if I have to read off the script, it just goes haywire. I like to do a little bit of pre-planning. That's about the only thing I can do. And then I feed off the guests that we have, and then I ask questions from that. Slowing down has been a big thing for me. It really has. And again, repetition is what really helped. A lot of repetition over and over.
Yeah, Jesse, you want to weigh in on supports for you?
Yes, mine is a little different from Ken's. I do need a glimpse or a glimmer, a bullet point, just to get that memory back into my head. But once I get that spark, I want to remember exactly what I want to say. Another big thing for me is we noticed recently that when I have issues remembering my podcast, it's better if I am being reminded of it throughout the week. So it's fresh in my head, so it's brewing in my head throughout the week. So on the day of the podcast, it's there, and I have it. And that was a big thing that I learned about myself, which is good.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about, what kind of growth you saw in yourself from using the podcast. Ken, what growth did you see in yourself after being a podcast host?
I guess the growth would be speaking more. It actually is challenged me a lot more, which is what I was looking for. And once I get going, there's no stopping. Um, for me, like I was saying, having any kind of a script in front of me does not work. So I feed off of the guests that we have to really get points across. Unlike Jess, you have to have them scripted out for him.
And not scripted out, just a bullet point down, then go from there.
What about you, Jesse? What kind of growth have you seen in yourself?
Well, I kind of agree with the first person's story when they're talking about confidence. I think confidence is a big part in how we do our podcast. And for me, but having confidence, and when we do it, it helps my memory. It helps everything. It helps you in every way.
It engages you.
Yes, it engages me. And this podcast was very meaningful and purposeful to me. And because of that, I was more engaged in it. My memory was more, I was more inclined to, I wanted to try.
Yeah, as a clinician that worked a little bit with Ken and Jesse, we found that when we had the right supports in place, meaning different things for different people, we really saw their anxiety reduce, great growth in overall confidence. And these guys have really come a long ways in being able to jump in and ask relevant follow-up questions. It's been really fun to see. Jesse, tell us a little bit about this picture.
That's a picture from our episode that we did with Julie Hart. And Julie Hart is the director of the TVI program of St. Rose, the former St. Rose. And those two guys in the back were also part of the media department who kind of co-joined with us to create the podcast, and they were very helpful as well.
It's been a great learning experience for both of us.
It was. And I think even the students in the media department learned some things about TBIs and brain injuries that they didn't know.
And like Ari was actually saying, they learn a lot from us. It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
Because we work with a lot of students that are going to be speech pathologists, and it's a two-way street. We learn from them and they learn from us.
Well, that kind of wraps up our presentation part. So if we have time for questions, Ken and Jesse are ready to answer.
Thank you, Ken and Jesse and Kara. I think the most important thing is, where can we get access to your podcast? And I might have missed this, but what was the name of your podcast?
It's called, for this is called Two Guys, the Brain Injury.
You can say that.
But it's actually called FNIM Brain Injury, just because we have brain injuries, we really don't care. You know what I mean? You get to that point where it just doesn't matter anymore.
Well, for Ken, it's sort of like it is like that. For others, like me in particular, I still have regret and stuff like that as well. But I also speak about that in the podcast. So it is about that, but it also is moving on and creating purpose and giving back to others with like.
Yeah, I'll jump in here a little bit. I don't know if it was the podcast F I have a brain injury. We've recorded it. We're in the process of editing it, and we're in the process of putting it out to the world. So we're still in the launching it, but if anyone's interested, they can contact Melissa and let us know. I think there are other questions.
And I would have to actually say one of the one person I would really like to interview you, Ari. That's right. If I say it correctly, like Ali, yes.
Excellent.
A lot of people can learn from you. A lot of people.
I think we'll be very anxious to see when it is ready, and I'm sure that Aphasia Access can help with broadcasting and making it available too, because I think there's a lot of us on here that would really love to share it with our friends with aphasia and for ourselves as well.
They've actually gotten better as we've gone along. The first two were a little iffy, but they've gotten better. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Great.
Yeah, Avi's got a question.
Sorry. What is your first and last name? I have aphasia, so I don't understand. So please.
Ken Burnson.
No idea.
Avi, I can send it to you. I'll send you their names.
Thank you.
And we hope to have you on, Avi. We hope to have you on a podcast. Definitely on it.
Aphasia Access is definitely making the connections, and
Avi, you would be a great
it's
guest.
all about. Great. Okay, thank you so much, Ken and Jesse and Kara. So we're moving on now to our next speaker, who is Ed Nunez, who's going to be speaking about Penn State Connection gives voice to people with aphasia. Welcome, Ken. Or Ed, sorry.
Okay, I don't know if I can start my slide. So the group that we're talking about is the Penn State Alumni Aphasia Group and Finding Connections. So what happened with me? On June 8th of 2020, I had a stroke in Chatham in Cape Cod and I ended up in the hospital up in Boston. I was there for about 5 days, and then I went to a rehab in Sandwich, Massachusetts, and then spent the rest of the summer in Chatham. And then my wife and I went back to Philadelphia. I was just supposed to be there for about a week to go play, because I played golf in Philadelphia, but I was stuck there for the whole summer. So why is Penn State is so important for me? When I went to the first rehab, I was in a wheelchair and going to exercise, and a doctor looked at me and she said, I had a Penn State shirt, and the doctor said, "We are." And I knew what the answer was, but I could not respond with the Penn State chant. And it was very frustrated. All I could say was yes, yes. So I was easy to share my stories, as I love to talk, but aphasia posed a significant challenge for me. One of my friends sent the Penn State dolls in Cape Cod, and they reminded me how important Penn State was for me. My brain remembered the stories, but I could not say the words. These are all photos that are really have, because I like to take photography. And these photos remind me of all my memories with them, but it's difficult to talk to them about these memories because of aphasia. And these are friends of mine that whenever I see people, I want to tell a story, and it was difficult to do. But some of these people, I would go to see them at Penn State, and regardless of aphasia, I went and started to talk to them. And these are people that had connections with me with the small worlds of people that I ran into. And it kind of forced me to tell stories about talking to people and have conversations. So what happened? So back in Philadelphia, friends with aphasia at Temple and at University of Pennsylvania, but no one knew from Penn State. So we had a lot of people from Temple and Penn and other people, but there was nobody to talk to about Penn State. And I wanted to connect the two. So I got on Google and found a professor at Penn State Communication Science and Disorders, linguistics and neurologist. And I called and got an email or a letter. And I said, hi, this is Ed. I have aphasia. I'd like to talk to somebody about people with aphasia. Can you call me? And all of a sudden, I couldn't remember my phone number. And so I said, I'm going to call you right back. And I wrote it down, and then I called back and gave. And we started to connect with Penn Staters with aphasia. And the answer is that Penn State has alumni aphasia group. Now, it's not just for people with aphasia. It is for anybody that wants to just talk about a very short content about having people. And we connected with this group. The Penn State Alumni Aphasia Group, we started this group with Shalise, that's me in the middle, and Denise Mendez, who's also works at Temple Aphasia Group. And we started this group, and about a year and a half ago, we started having the group. The goal is to provide a place for Penn State alums who are living with strokes and aphasia to connect, support each other, share resources, and advocate for aphasia awareness. We have a website. That's another thing I learned. I never did websites, but I learned after I had the stroke to do tutorials, and I learned how to do websites. I have about 5 or 6 different websites that I do. So we started a website. They tell stories. Ed and Daryl found each other at a Penn State football game. We couldn't connect there, but we got on Google and messages. We find each other at a tailgate there, and we connected there. We have a month meeting on Zoom on the last Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. It lasts about an hour. We have a few members. One of them I connected with in Pittsburgh, who had a stroke, was a fraternity of mine. He was 10 years younger than me, so I didn't know him, but we are connecting with aphasia to talk with each other. An article at Penn State that Penn State connections help I'm not saying that right. An article was written by Penn State that tells the story about people wanted to connect voices for people with aphasia. Finally, so like I said, websites for me are ways for me to talk stories. I started with the first rehab where I tried to tell the story to the doctor who connected me about about Penn State. I had to try to tell the story on my iPad, and from there I started to tell stories. I joined with Temple's Philadelphia Aphasia group that started with that website. My website on the right, Aphasia Rocks, is the stories that I tell, some other things that I do, and then the PSUaphasia.com group is another one we started. They're not great websites, but they're fun stories for me to do. And that's what we do. It just really, I use a lot of Grammarly to tell stories, and I now started to find out about AI to tell stories. And I asked the question at a Temple group whether is it cheating to use AI to tell stories. And it was very interesting to see what some of those responses were like. So, and that's the end of the stories.
Wonderful, Ed. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love that you were able to connect your loves and create this. I'm curious about how so it looks like you are sharing your stories through these websites and blogs, but how do you recruit members? Is it just from word of mouth, or did you put things out in newsletters, or how do people find you?
So Shalise can explain. We've been trying. We've gotten some people through other groups at. So Shalise, you want to explain that?
Yeah, so a lot of it is word of mouth. We have a Facebook account and a Twitter account, and then a LinkedIn account, right, Ed? And
yes.
So we post every time we have a meeting, we post on there. We I've got a network of people that I regularly send out the announcements to. So basically this is another effort, right? to let people know about this group. And so whoever wants to join, that's great. And if you want to steal the idea for your own university, that's great. But yeah, it's been actually kind of hard to get the word out, but we're hoping that the article that Penn State News wrote about us will help with that. We asked the alumni group to repost that and talk about it, in their alumni newsletter. So those are the things that we've been trying to do.
That's excellent. And I'm sure as the word spreads, and maybe even with this presentation as well, now we have a bunch of speech language pathologists who know that there is a Penn State alumni aphasia group. And so perhaps we can help as well. Okay. Thank you so much, Ed and Shalise, for sharing. Next up, we have Stephanie and Nicole, who are going to be speaking about staying connected, working through challenges with reading for creative ways to send novel texts.
Hello, I hope you guys can hear us. We are going to, let's see, hold on one second. Let me get us out of the slideshow at the end. Sorry, 1 second. All right. Sorry, technical difficulties for a sec. Oh, bad, huh? Sorry, guys. 1 second. We did this all earlier. Yeah, okay, here we go. So here and then let's share the screen. Okay, there we go. All right, now we're cooking. All right. So just give us 1 second here and then we're all set. Do you guys see what happened there? All right. I'm not sure why it's kicking us out. You guys are going to watch it in the edition here of it, not on the big, and that's okay. All right. So we're just going to watch it this way. It's fine. Hi, everyone. I'm Nikki Sizzler, and this is Stephanie. Yeah. So we're going to talk to you today. Our presentation is titled Staying Connected, and we're going to talk about working through challenges with reading and writing for creative ways to send novel text messages. Okay. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do some introductions, and then we're going to talk about the difficulties that people have with reading and writing. And then we're going to talk about some of the isolation effects that people feel who have aphasia when they can't send messages back. And then we're going to talk about how we're creatively using some different AAC and predictive texting to kind of rejoin that little social event of texting. So before we get started, I'm going to have you guys meet Stephanie, and she's been practicing really hard on these sentences. So she's going to share a little bit about herself here.
My name is Stephanie. I am interested in German. I am willing to teach. I think it's 16. Alina is 15. I will educate. I have graduated in 2021. I've done a lot of teaching, OT, and speech. I'm better now, to walk and driving, but this is hard.
Okay, amazing. Thank you, Steph. Okay, so that's a little bit about Stephanie. And then you can read some of that here as well, but I wanted you to see her pretty picture. So I'm going to tell you just a little bit about me and kind of how Stephanie and I connected. So my name is Nicole Sizzler. I'm a speech therapist, and I've been an SLP for 19 years. I recently opened my own private practice in Strongsville, Ohio, about 2 years ago. And I have special training working with people who have aphasia. And I'm a wife and I'm a mom. I have 4 kiddos and 2 dogs. And because my screen is funny, I don't know if you can see, but at the bottom it says Stephanie and I actually met when she was in acute rehab. So Stephanie was in acute rehab for quite some time after her stroke. And I was one of the therapists that helped her there. And then through some serendipitous type of magic, we reconnected a few years later. So Stephanie and I work together 2 to 3 times a week. And in addition, Stephanie sees another speech therapist as well. So getting almost 5 days of speech therapy a week. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about reading and writing difficulties that can occur after stroke. So many of you, especially if you're SLPs, already know this, but for those of you who maybe have had strokes and it has not been affected, aphasia in and of itself can cause difficulties with reading and writing. Not in everyone, but in some people. In addition, someone can have ocular impairments, so they can have difficulties with visual field loss, they can have difficulties with eye movement, they can have poor central vision. Those things can also affect their ability to read and write, along with alexia or dyslexia. So those terms most people have heard. Sometimes the term is called sensory aphasia, which can be a complete loss of ability to read. And agraphia and dysgraphia is related to difficulties with writing, okay? So Stephanie, I guess unfortunately, has pretty significant difficulties in the area of reading and writing. So Stephanie, some things she can and can't do. So Stephanie cannot read long text, right? Yeah. Right. But she has improved at identifying essentially high frequency words for her. So most of her home, if you could see, is labeled. We have lots of labeled items throughout the house. Common words. If I had a whiteboard right now and wrote the word coffee, she could tell me coffee, right? Mm-hmm. So different things that are high frequency, Stephanie has learned the whole thing, kind of like we would learn the name of a person or a picture. Stephanie cannot sound out letters and words right now, right? That's really tricky. So, you know, sometimes someone who has aphasia could see a letter and make the sound, and that would help. Doesn't really help you, right? Mm-hmm. No. And she cannot write letters from memory, but she can find them on a keyboard from memory. So when we take out the ability to have to write independently, she can identify them on a keyboard sometimes. And she's gotten really good at being able to transfer information. So Stephanie now uses her iPhone and then her computer, and she can pull her calendar, her email up on her phone, and then she can transfer information to her calendar by copying it via keyboard. Is that all about that? Yeah. Yeah? Okay. So let's talk a little bit about that isolation. So as you can tell, Stephanie's pretty young and hip, and she's got a lot of really cool friends from all across the country and the world, because she has a lot of family that lives in Germany. Yes. So Stephanie gets a lot of text messages from people, and it was really a challenge for her originally. So those of you that are familiar with phones, right, if you get a message, oftentimes you can hover and you can do a thumbs up, thumbs down. You can do like the heart emoji. You can do an exclamation point, right? So Stephanie was responding to a lot of messages by doing those kinds of things. Early on, we made sure that all of the settings on her phone were set to read aloud. So if you see, I know that it's kind of in the way, but if you see over here where I'm kind of hovering, even on her text messages, right, we have it set up so that her mail is read to her. So you see what I'm talking about using emojis. In this email, she responded to the person to tell them it was great by using this heart and the thumb, right? So she's able to be independent with managing like the kids' schedules and different things like that by kind of communicating without writing, right? And I know someone mentioned earlier, like predictive text or like voice translation, but Stephanie has a really hard time generating independent speech as well. So she was using a lot of those, and then you got really good at even sending pictures. So she would snap a picture of something and send it in the message, you know, maybe she was gardening and took a picture, sent it to her friends, right? Or sending her husband a picture of, you know, maybe her lunch, what she ate. But then we had set up an app, and I'm gonna give a little shout out to them, but it's an app on Apple. I think it's on Android too, but it's called Speech Assistant. And it's a one-time download. I think it's $19.99. And we set that up for Stephanie, and you're gonna see it a little bit more on the next page. But we started to use it almost as a visual dictionary. So Stephanie has it, and you can preload and create pages. And the nice thing about the app is she can listen to it, right? So she can see the picture. You can use your own pictures or an emoji, and then we can hear it. So one day we realized that from the bar up on the top, I'm going to advance so you guys can see here. This is what the app looks like. We did some screenshots. So once you would select one of these, yeah, you get that ready. Once you would select one of these, it moves it to up on the top here. And we realized that you could copy it. So we're like, oh, you could copy it. So we came up with this idea of using the copy and paste to text messages. we had tried many different things. We had done sheets with kind of, you know how you can set up on phones like ILY. And if you type that in, the message would generate that says, I love you, right? Mm-hmm. So we have a list like that, but that kind of got tricky because sometimes reading is overwhelming, right? Even those high frequency words, if Stephanie is exhausted, she works, she drives, she does all these cool things. If she was exhausted, sometimes she would type the wrong thing. So maybe she would want to send happy birthday, but she'd send I love you, right? So we realized that this app served this purpose of letting us hear it first. So we're going to give an example here. And if Stephanie was going to tell her kiddos that she was going to pick them up from school today, she would look, so you can see she has her app here. I know you guys can't really see it, but she has it pulled up on her phone, same as what you guys see there. And then she can listen to it. So she would find the picture. So she has like a picture of her car, which is like over here. I know it's hard to see, but this car tells her it might be the right one. So let's listen. I will pick you up. So that's what she wants. So now if you guys can kind of see here on the top, I don't know if you can see, but it has put the text on the top. So then Stephanie can hover, select it, copy it, and then transfer it, right? So it's kind of been neat because Stephanie has been able to create kind of a laundry list of different text responses. And although they're still, you know, I guess pre-made, they're still novel. We have over 50 of them, right? And then as things come up, we add to it. So it's just kind of an alternative way of using like an AAC, which stands for Alternative Augmentative Communication, in a way to make this really functional thing that's super important to you. Yeah, Stephanie probably has like 10 different groups of friends who are always in these text strings, and she understands everything but can't express it. So I did set myself a timer here, so I want to make sure I'm not over. So I'm gonna see if you guys have any questions. And that's really all we have to share.
Thank you so much, Nicole and Stephanie. And there was a question about what the app was called, and Fabi answered it for us in the chat. It's called Speech Assistant.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering if people can send questions via email if they have them, just so that we can move on to our last presenter.
For sure. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing. That was wonderful, Nicole and Stephanie.
You're welcome.
Great.
Bye.
All right. And our final speaker today is going to be Zoe Shepard, who's going to be speaking about the power of self-advocacy in aphasia.
Yay! Sorry.
Good. Big fan there.
Thanks for the hype, Avi. Hi, everyone. I am Zoe Shepard. And while the presentation is under my name, I am really going to be a very brief part of this. So let me share my PowerPoint. Okay. So again, it's about the power of self-advocacy in aphasia. And I'm a speech language pathologist at the Adler Aphasia Center. And we have a group that we call the advocacy group, where local schools and hospitals send future healthcare professionals to Adler as one of their formal clinical rotations. And our members, so those are our people with aphasia, share their stroke stories about their aphasia and recovery, and teach communication tips and strategies to the people who are participating in the training. We provide the individuals who are participating in the training with a quick quiz before answering true or false questions to gauge how much they know about aphasia before and how much they learn after. So some of the questions are, I'm going to summarize basically. The first one is for them to take away that people can recover at different rates of times and potentially, you know, across their entire remaining life. Aphasia impacts ability to read and write. People with aphasia do not always have significant memory loss. People with aphasia can make their own decisions. It is best to direct your comments to people with aphasia directly. Do not fill in words for them if they're having difficulty recalling. Tell people that they have aphasia, because it's not a technical term, only for healthcare professionals. And if you don't understand somebody with aphasia, let them know so that they can clarify. So those are basically just our key points that we want people to walk away with from this presentation. If anybody has specific questions about that, I'm happy to send the questions that we ask and inform you further about why we ask them. So, like I said, I want to keep my portion short because this is about our folks with aphasia. So I would love to rope some of them in at this point. They have graciously joined us. Oh, this is after. This is some photos of us in the group with the students and the folks with aphasia. But at this time, I'd like to invite some of them to speak. So I'm going to stop sharing the PowerPoint for now. And Mike, would you like to chime in first?
Sure, because I'm not at all shy about that. But basically, when I first got aphasia, I couldn't talk at all. So I came to the center basically because I couldn't talk, but I was very shy. And so, of course, the first group that I was in was the advocacy group. So I had to talk. I didn't want to do it at first, but, eventually they pulled me out of my shell. I started talking a little and then more. And now I can't stop. It's gotten to the point where, like, I've been in the play a couple of times. I've never been in a play before, for God's sake. And now I'm like up front in front of all these people and just, and it helps me to like be helpful with the other people around me as well. Like I was like the shy person at first, and now I'm the person putting other people out of their shells and talking to everybody else. And it just makes me really happy.
Thank you, Mike. I realize that I sort of skipped past this for the presentation. I asked all of my folks chiming in to please share how sharing their story has benefited them. So, Alfonso, hi. You are still on mute. Let's see. So, Alfonso, how has sharing your story helped you?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, like Mike said, at first I was kind of shy about it because I didn't know what to expect. And I didn't know how to act, believe it or not. But I've been going to the center since January 1st, January 2nd. And I found it very, very instructive and very helpful. And like Mike said, I came out of my shell. And now I'm kind of glad that I can help somebody. I can help. And more than anything else, is more than being helpful in a situation like this. I know I can help somebody. Kind of to help themselves. Because that's what it is. We are survivors. We are somebody with a problem, which we're going to overcome, and hopefully soon.
Thank you, Alfonso.
You're welcome.
And I see also Crystal has joined us. So Crystal, can you chime in and speak a little bit about how sharing your story has helped you as a person?
I think I had my stroke almost 8 years ago. I was diagnosed with global aphasia, only able to say 2 words. And sharing my story, I think, takes away the loneliness and the knowing that there is hope. And because when they told me that I have aphasia, nobody ever told me I'd be able to speak again or whatever. And so I think it gives other people hope that like maybe we can get some of our resources that we had before. And it actually gives me hope that like things get better sometimes. Life is not what you wanted it to be and expected, but I had a lot of things came better for me because I had a stroke, and one of the best things was finding about Adler Aphasia Center. So yeah, it just gives me a hope and more resiliency. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm gonna wrap up the presentation portion and then open it up to questions. So the rest of the PowerPoint, you got a little preview, is just some photos of the advocacy group with some of our visitors. So we have, like I said, several nursing schools that join us in the area, as well as medical residents. And some of the feedback that we've received from our visitors is really striking. So I'm going to read some of it aloud so that everybody can gather it. So this first quote is from a nursing student who heard everyone's story. And they said, seeing the effect of community for people with aphasia is so heartwarming. This is such an amazing thing to witness. I want to thank the members for being so open about their experiences. This next quote is one of my favorites just because it says it all. Best experience I've had in nursing school thus far. Thank you. And finally, this program taught me how to communicate better with my patients and people with aphasia and to understand how it impacts everyone differently. Thank you. So if anyone has any further questions at this point, especially for the members, love to open it up to that. If you have any questions about starting a program, anything like that, here's my contact info. Avi, what's up?
I just want to say, Zoe, amazing job. I mean, the whole thing. And 3 people who has aphasia, you are the best. Like really, really fantastic.
FYI, Avi participates in our group as well and is also awesome.
Thank you so much for sharing, Zoe, and to your group members that have helped to present. That's so valuable, and I think it's just so wonderful to hear the stories from people who are living with this. So thank you so much. So we have all the contact information for the speakers. So if anybody has questions, we can email with questions. But just to get us wrapped up in time, I wanted to thank everybody for coming and spending some time with us today, and especially to our members with aphasia, Heather, Sharon, Avi, Ed, Ken, Jesse, Stephanie, Crystal, Alfonso, and Michael, who so graciously shared your experiences and your stories with us. We really appreciate it. And to all the people who supported them to share with, it was really wonderful. So on behalf of the Aphasia Access Resource Exchange Working Group, I want to thank everybody and keep an eye out for future brag and steal sessions that we will be calling for participation for. And look up for future resources that we are going to be sharing. Thank you so much.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.